Hi, hello, what's up? We have a new chapter of One Punch Man. This is chapter 137 of the remake. Another kind of fanservice-y, but much classier than a lot of the other fanservice-y shots of Fubuki. I think Fubuki has had back-to-back fanservice-y covers now, which is just the way of Murata. It's the way of Fubuki, with her two elderly kung fu escorts. Currently, these three. We're fighting off all sorts of danger in the Monster Association headquarters, but now I think are just chilling on the outside somewhere, right? Everyone kind of besides, Saitama and Flash and stuff have been escorted out of the headquarters. Yeah, here we go. They just meet up with them. The coincidence let us in on the action too. They've got the dream team here. I saw people saying that the reason they were so excited that Tank Top Master showed up is because Tank Top Master is the best at throwing. And this has never been explicitly stated as far as I can tell. But we do have a bit of anecdotal type evidence that in the fight against the aliens, he was chucking huge boulders at the ship. Nobody else was trying that. I think it was useless, but it was an idea. And then when he got here, he used the absolutely ridiculous transportation method of throwing the gigantic power pylon and then jumping on it. Oh, hello. Where are you going? Just having a stroll? Okay. So you gotta wonder, what all are these people going to contribute, given that the fight isn't just happening in the sky, but it's happening at the sky at 3,000 miles per hour. Perhaps you find that odd, considering you excluded us from the operation. That's right. Bang originally wasn't invited, but I can't remember why. I think there was concern that he would go soft on Garo or something. Is that why they excluded him, or was that just why they were worried that he wasn't up for the task of fighting Garo? Because this was, a raid against the Monster Association. They thought that Garo and the Monster Association were working together. But is that really enough to exclude Bang? He would still go hard on those monsters. Bang couldn't participate because you couldn't get a hold of him. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to fully let go of my leniency for Garo. No choice but to have those doubts. No need to worry. Take the responsibility of putting Garo to rest with my own two fists. A very badass shot here of Bang. I'm thankful for the opportunity to take responsibility for this as a teacher rather than a hero. The decision to exclude me from the operation was truly the best one. Okay, so he's basically saying, I didn't want this to be business. I wanted this to be personal. I didn't want to fight Garo as a hero assigned to go fight Garo. I wanted to fight him as his former teacher getting revenge for him crushing my dojo. Sure. Okay. Fubuki's freaking out, of course. She knows that Tatsumaki is maybe at her limit. Tatsumaki doing a lot right now. Single-handedly reshaping the world in her fight against the Psychos Orochi team. It looks like Drive Knight is doing really well, though. Drive Knight, really shockingly strong. Of course, I think the Psychos Tatsumaki fighter jet... the Psychos Orochi fighter jet, what the heck? Doesn't really have the full power energy of those two in their fully combined form, but rather they're just doing this as kind of a desperation play, as an escape or whatever. I don't know. And yeah, I think it's the combination of Drive Knight's full-on assault and then the psychic interference by Tatsumaki. So now Psychos is just gunning for Tatsumaki. Drive Knight, quick, fast transforming, blows up two of the missiles. Or no, all but one of the missiles. I guess three of the missiles. This is classic shonen type writing, Every character contributes a little bit, so you have Drive Knight reduce the threat but not eliminate the threat, and then we're stepping in for a scenario of, who is going to be able to save Tatsumaki now? The heroics begin. Sure. And it's Genos firing off another gigantic blast. His power level seems really extremely high now, that Genos multiple times can fire off a blast of that magnitude. Before, these sorts of attacks would burn him out a lot. That this was the final trump card to do something that huge. But now, if the situation demands it, it seems like he's always up for it. Another super badass shot. Just this form of Genos's armor is so cool. Like the flares burning off of it, the way it seems like kind of always on fire in different parts with this like demonic energy. It almost looks like the Berserk armor from Berserk, you know? These sort of like claw type features. Really, really cool. Really, really cool positioning. I love the kind of like swirling base of the monster association that they're standing on too. Somehow it seems to pair really nicely with the aesthetic of both of them, even though of course it's the enemy's base. Tatsumaki has fainted. Ooh. Oh shit. Okay. We have a brief, I'm assuming kind of brief, Tatsumaki flashback. I'd be surprised if there's going to be a ton of new knowledge introduced to us at this point in time. But what we know from the webcomic, somebody very, very exciting could be showing up here. The first real appearance in the webcomic of Blast was in a brief Tatsumaki flashback taking place after this arc. And then, very recently, we had a very sudden appearance of Blast in a really, really brief flashback of Amai Mask, thinking about his own heroic origins. So it's like Blast is in the air. His name is in the air. Don't make me expect anyone's help. Okay, yeah. Some research settlement. This looks very similar to the way that the ninja village was depicted in the webcomic. That it's just this big opaque box way out in the woods. A totally cubic building in which horrific experiments on human beings are taking place. So I feel like there's maybe a whole super school of these quote unquote schools, these labs, these villages, that maybe this is going to be one of those real endgame threats that has just been hinted at throughout the series. This research settlement, these guys may be working on psychics, the other one's working on ninjas. Oh, don't leave me. That one has no potential. Leave her. Prioritize the promising subjects first and get those out of here. A really harrowing shot here of Tatsumaki. Of course, we know that she gets out okay. But, you know, we really can't... I can't overstate just how powerful Murata is at drawing these expressions that... Even though Tatsumaki has been such like a comic character, an arrogant character, a character representing a nearly omnipotent power, like a badass... for Murata to be able to depict what is so recognizably this child Tatsumaki with her iconic hair and stuff in such a horrified state, it's really powerful. It's really impressive work. And I love this paneling too, that everything is like pitch black besides just her face in the bars, and then this bottom panel, like normally shooting from that perspective, drawing from that perspective, you would be able to see like more definition of the wall and stuff, be able to see, kind of the formation of the window within the wall. But just choosing instead to make it pure black outside of the window of what Tatsumaki sees, it's a really, really cool effect. It really just adds to the emotional impact of this. Oh, and a fantastic transition. Oh my gosh. Gorururu. This drooling, dripping, monstrous beast breathing an unimaginable pungent scent into the jail cell. And all we can see is Tatsumaki's little hands gripping the bars and the tuft of her hair. Horrifying, horrifying. Who could possibly save her from this nightmare situation? Oh, she tries to channel her own psychic energy, I think. Perhaps? Or no. Is that just her hair blowing back from the exhalations of the monster, I think? Monster kicks down the door. Tatsumaki goes flying. Oh, man. Oh, here we go. Just the use of darkness. This page of just sound effects. Gogong. Gagan. Gan. And then these two shots of Tatsumaki's eyes in the darkness are just phenomenal. Oh, look at this. Just the darkness and the light. The way that it was established more subtly at first with those shots of the window, and now has been escalated to this point, this total recontextualization of what lies on the other side. before certain death and the relative safety of the darkness, and now the darkness as something that Tatsumaki is going to be reborn out of. Oh, there he is. There he is. The strongest hero, barring Saitama. I'm blessed. I work as a hero. You can see there his little name tag. Blast. Kind of a goofy costume. Has like kind of big Saiyan vibes, like from Planet Vegeta, that kind of armor. You know, with these like little like ribbed sections and the big shoulder pads. It's the vibe I'm getting. Old school Vegeta. Now this is very interesting. He's holding a small cube. And I was wondering, like, what is Blast doing here in the first place? This is like some super shady, super sketchy, cruel place that's torturing children. Why is this legendary hero of all heroes bumming around there? You know, thankfully saving Tatsumaki, but like, it looks like he's on some sort of retrieval mission. That he came here to get specifically this little box, which contains, I don't know, computer data or some unimaginable power, Pandora's box kind of situation. Who knows? But that's kind of cool. I like this idea that there's a whole heroic adventure that we're only seeing this one little snapshot of. What would be very interesting is if Blast is actually responsible for that like mutant creature getting unleashed as well. I say that, but I have a proper job too. I guess this is more of a hobby. Very interesting. I don't think that was ever stated in the webcomic. That he speaks of being a hero just like Saitama does. Although Saitama doesn't have another job. He's just like a neat that does heroics as a hobby. But I do have a proper job too. It's interesting that they zoom in on the cube when he mentions his proper job. Which makes me wonder, like what if his proper job is something to do with the cube? Is like, I don't know, like he's actually involved in these experiments to some capacity? Maybe trying to create the ultimate hero. This is like a very cynical, sinister take, but it just sort of makes sense on more of like a meta storytelling level if Blast ultimately becomes a villain, ultimately becomes somebody that the heroes fight against. To have him just be another hero is kind of like redundant when we have Saitama, right? Like to have a situation where none of the heroes we know about, Tatsumaki can't beat him, Metal Knight maybe even can't beat him. Drive Knight can't beat him. Bang can't beat him. Atomic Samurai can't beat him. Oh, Blast shows up and beats him. It's kind of the same beats as like Saitama. Oh, Blast finally showed up. I mean, it would be super hype, don't get me wrong, but it's not super substantial from a storytelling perspective. Whereas an arc where we learn that Blast actually has this crazy world-spanning scheme to develop heroes by funding these super sketchy laboratories. He's actually complicit in creating all of these child torture experiments to try to unlock people's potential. And he's like, oh, I'm doing it to create the ultimate hero. We need the ultimate hero to be able to be prepared for the ultimate threat. Big ideological conflict. And of course, at some point, Saitama just slaps him silly. That would be a much more interesting arc. So this is now my theory. This I'm going to run with because it's fun to run with a tinfoil hat type theory. Blast is behind this facility. That's his proper job. That's why he's so busy all the time. Why didn't you use your power? And then the fact that he knows about, like, the idea that Tatsumaki has this power, that Tatsumaki... Because, like, why is he here, really? Like, is it a coincidence that this monster is running rampant? Or... Because certainly this research facility is not going to call the Hero Association. Or, you know, maybe he is here for a heroic reason and he accidentally let the monster out. That would be very Saitama-esque. Anyways, but that he can recognize Tatsumaki's power. Did you believe they'd let you go if you held back your power because you would be deemed useless to them? Maybe. Doesn't matter anymore. Whether I leave this place or not, there's no one out there who needs me anyways. Papa and Mama sold me off. You do have someone who needs you. Okay, I'm becoming more and more suspicious because it seems like Blast knows an awful lot about Tatsumaki for someone who just showed up to punch a monster and grab a cube. He knows about Fubuki, who's just a little kid at this point. Protect your family. And again, this all sounds very nice, very inspiring, you know, value your life. But if you're running this program to develop heroes, that I'm hypothesizing, if you're developing this program to create very strong people that will fight for justice, isn't this the exact sort of stuff you'd be saying to them? Sincerely, you know, like, it's not that Blast is manipulative, it's just that he's using these means, which I think most people would disagree with. I'll give you one piece of advice for later to keep in mind for someone who has too much power. When the time comes, don't go expecting someone to come save you. Okay, she gets a psychic message from Fubuki. This is really interesting because they've done an excellent job here, I think, burying the lead a little bit. Of course, everyone is super hyped that Blast showed up. It's not like people aren't going to focus on this. But they made a very clear purpose to this flashback of explaining Tatsumaki's current mental state. And yet I think they opened up like so many more questions. What was Blast doing there? What is in that cube? I don't know. I'm becoming a fan of my own theory. Anyways. Don't underestimate me. Tatsumaki roars back to life. I friggin' love this shot. This is so cool. Just the way this is depicted. The contrast of this nice kind of like pristine close-up. She looks really cool, and then she just like this blur of energy. Okay, Drive Night in the dogfight. Still happening. They're flying around the chasm. Shooting each other out. Looking like Star Wars. Going into that thing, you know, in the Death Star. Shooting the missile. I don't know. I don't remember Star Wars. Ooh, fires upwards, destroying the tunnel, causing a cave-in. Pretty clever. Drive Knight transforms again. So before it was like the flying chariot, maybe this is like the Dragon Knight or whatever, the other like promoted piece. I don't know, but it seems like an extremely powerful attack. Damn, Drive Knight is really strong, isn't he? We've underestimated him so many times. Okay, using bizarre little monster bomb things. I just love the contrast between Drive Knight, who's like the most like technological of the heroes. Him and Metal Knight, of course, and Child Emperor up there as well too. But just that kind of aesthetic of like technology, this sort of arcane, but obviously non-supernatural, non-organic, just very well built, transforming robot technology, versus Drive Knight or versus Psychos and Orochi, who are using all of these like biological, chemical attacks and environmental attacks and stuff. Just a really cool kind of aesthetic contrast. Are these the Monster King's cells? So his body was used like a seed and spread across the earth on a cellular level, destroying everything. Tatsumaki, you monster, if you'd held back just a tiny bit, I'd be able to retrieve cell samples easily. Okay, I don't think this is any reason to become skeptical of Drive Knight. I know that there's an ongoing debate. Who do we trust, Metal Knight or Drive Knight? I made a video on my feelings, and I still stick with it. I think Drive Knight is the good guy here. But like, yeah, and the fact that he wants to collect the samples, I think that's just for research. Okay. Tatsumaki manages all the way from here to sense their precise location and bring the wall down right in front of Orochi. Orochi spreads himself around it using all sorts of cheater techniques. Look at that! He turned into a little lizard doggy thing and jumped around it. That's so cool! Oh my god, it's like Murata is just tapping into like all of these childhood fantasies of play. The infinitely transforming monster, the infinitely transforming transformer, duking it out in like a plethora of like endless transforming forms. It's amazing. Look at this. It's almost like comical. Just the quick punctuation of these panels. So cool. So cool. Is this like a spread? No. That's going forward in time. It's just cool paneling that it's like parallel like that. So they're flying along this corridor, which I guess is like a subway? Or something that has been torn up, or a highway, I guess. They emerge, blowing past all these cars. Oh my god, it's Genos. That psycho is just flying along in his little individual body. Psychos is like, what the hell? He jumps up onto the ship. Oh my god. Drive Knight showing up, protecting him. It's the ultimate team up. It's the Cyborg Bros. Ah! 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 Okay, that's it. I thought we'd see one big explosion at the end. Oh, well, we already got a lot of interesting stuff in this chapter. So what do you think? What's up with the blast? Does that make sense to you, this idea of like looking at it on a more meta storytelling perspective? What would be a more interesting story? If the blast was just a good guy through and through, or if there was a reason for people to have some conflict with him, or our heroes? I think it's going to be the latter. I think it's going to be that Blast is behind the ninja village, this psychic village, and who knows how many other villages. But we will see. We will see. And by the way, in the webcomic, there's like the master ninja who like founded the ninja school, but I think that will emerge to be just like a decoy. That will emerge to be a story that Blast uses to really hide himself away from his influence on these things. That's my theory. I'm going to stick with it because it's fun to have a little pet theory. I don't know how much I seriously believe this. I just think it would be kind of cool. And of course, like, none of this will be exposed for years and years. So in like 2023, 2024 maybe, when we're starting up the Blast arc for real, it can be like, I think I saw some YouTuber. This Kista person knew. They knew in 2020. Amazing. All right. Bye-bye.